forgotten, they say, by her father, 33-year-old Michael Thetford.
Thetford dropped off his 2 older children at daycare, then left his 6-month-old daughter in the van in front of their house for 4 hours. Thetford indicated he forgot the child was in the vehicle, went inside the home, and went to sleep.
Investigators appeared to make Thetford reenact what happened with a Mickey Mouse doll.
Michael Thetford is charged with manslaughter after leaving his 6-month-old daughter in a hot van for 4 hours. He attempted to resuscitate her by putting her in the refrigerator. Is this similar to the hot car dad case in which another father was charged after his child baked to death in the back of his SUV? Back with Lisa, Bradford, Jenna, Beth, and Yodit. Beth, can you please fill us in on more of the details on this tragedy?
Yes, now this father, who's a former high school teacher, he taught chemistry and physics until not that long ago. He planned to teach college courses in the future. He had dropped off 2 of his kids at daycare, a 5-year-old and a 3-year-old. The 6-month-old baby stayed with him because she had a fever the night before, so she was not going to daycare. Her name is Fern. So he went home. As we just heard, he took a nap. 4 hours later, he realized the baby was never taken out of the minivan, and when he went to get little Fern, the probable cause affidavit says that he found her in the minivan, quote, stiff and hot as a brick, close quote. The temperatures were in the mid-90s that day, and his wife was at work while this happened.
Oh, it's so sad. And then those vehicles can be well over 120 degrees. Now, after he found the child, the affidavit says Michael, quote, placed the child in the refrigerator for an undetermined length of time prior to calling 911. And Jenna, I think people look at that behavior and go, what is he doing? I just think he was just desperate, didn't know what he was doing.
Yeah, I agree, Dr. Drew. This is a really unfortunate case of initially what sounds like inattention, and then followed by really poor problem solving in the face of panic.
Yeah, panic. And just, oh my God, can you imagine? It's just so sad. On the phone, I have Fabiola Contreras, the family's neighbor, who actually watched this horror unfold from across the street. Fabiola, I appreciate you being here.
Hello, thank you for having me.
Can you tell us what you saw?
Yes, so I saw ambulance and firefighters arriving at the scene, police officers and detectives as well. They were just going inside the house. Apparently, the ambulance started leaving, so as the firefighters, and the only people were there were just the police officers and the detectives walking around, and one of the detectives was videotaping Mr. Thetford for retracing his steps using a Mickey Mouse doll to explain what happened. And they went inside, and before we knew it, he was arrested.
Now, this man, Michael, was a substitute teacher at your high school. What was he like? Do you know?
Yeah, he wasn't talkative at all. He always had his head down. He was a strict sub. He followed directions on what the teachers had left him.
Fabiola, thank you. I appreciate your point of view and your sharing what you saw with us. Now, this man, this substitute teacher, was charged with manslaughter. Yodit, was he overcharged? Was this just a horrible accident?
I definitely think so. I think the state overcharged in this case, because a manslaughter in Texas is when a person recklessly causes the death of another individual, and a person acts recklessly with regards to their conduct when he or she has a disregard or is aware of but consciously disregards a substantial risk. Now, the state in this case will have to prove that dad was aware that he left his kid in the car and that he disregarded the risks that came from that conduct. I think that's going to be a very hard case for the state to prove, especially when...
I'm seeing Brad nod as though he agrees, so I want to switch over to Lisa. And Lisa, negligence doesn't figure into this?
No, not on the criminal side. And I agree, based on these facts, I just don't see a crime. This happens a lot, by the way.
I know.
And there are studies about when it happens, just this kind of situation, when the parent deviates from his usual routine. I usually take the kids to daycare. In this case, he takes the older kids to daycare, but then he takes the baby, little baby Fern, back home again. The routine is a little bit different. He gets out of the car. He just doesn't remember. He's got a sleeping baby in the back.
I just feel so grateful. I had triplets. I was juggling, and I just thank God nothing happened. But Bradford, do you have children? Brad?
I have one coming August 11th. Yes, I have one coming August 11th.
Can you imagine? Can you imagine what this guy's feeling? And on top of that, facing manslaughter, Isn't just the loss of the child enough?
It's truly horrible. Yeah, it's truly horrible, and that they made him retrace his steps right after his child died using a Mickey Mouse doll is, it's just unthinkable to me. But to make a point on this, Dr. Drew, you know, there are guys that should be charged with this, guys that leave their kids in the car and go to the racetrack, or the other case where the guy left his kid in the car and went inside and watched porno. Like, this guy is he seems to be a legit guy, loves his kids, no problems, no nothing, and he legitimately forgot his daughter in the car. It's a horrible tragedy. He should not be charged. It is a overcharge by the state. It is a knee-jerk reaction because some of these cases are coming out now. But this is not the same kind of case that you have seen in the press before, where it is reckless, where they're going to the racetrack. They're going. You know, there was a case down here where a dentist left his poor child in the car.
Enough cases, and they are on the increase since January of this year. We're back up to this.